Good evening. This is Rudy Giuliani, and this is America's Mayor Live from Florida, a free state, free of communist influence, with a governor who actually tries to protect us and does a good job, and an election system that's been cleaned up, and apparently record numbers of voters. Record number. I say record. Let me get this right here. Record numbers of voters. So in the second half of the show, we'll devote it to the electoral college, and because it is our last weekend before the election. Over the weekend, however, we're going to be on with updates on the election when they're necessary. But we're going to be doing a lot of trolling around, looking for information for you, particularly information that you won't get elsewhere. Uh, but I'm going to start with with something that's completely unexpected, and I don't get it. Except I do see the pattern, and I think I explained it to you last night. I just explained it also on the Rudy Giuliani show, so I don't want to go into much more detail about it. But it's quite apparent that their last minute appeal to the American people is that Donald Trump and his followers are beyond evil. They're like the worst dictator, maybe in world history, certainly in modern history. Well, Stalin maybe would equate to Hitler if you think of the number of people killed. Um, but I mean, well, actually, the people in China did a pretty good job of killing people too. The Red Chinese that gave all that money to Biden and who Tampon Tim seems to love so much, even to the extent of having that girlfriend that he jilted. What is this thing with the Democrats and Red Chinese girlfriends or drivers or very high officials like in New York with Cuomo and Hochul?
Everybody has a type.
Is it the fact that the Democrats a long time ago got infiltrated heavily by the Communist Party, starting with Woodrow Wilson and Franklin Roosevelt? Great Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s book on that. When the election's over, we'll spend some time on the necessary history that explains a lot of what's going on. You know, I just noticed when I replayed Obama's comment that you know we're really sick people because we cling to guns and to God and to hating other people. He said, "Cling to God." Where does that come from? Marx. God is the opiate of the people. They use him as a crutch. Now, he was trained by communists. His book was, they say, co-written, but probably written, since the guy never wrote a. If he couldn't write a note for the law review, he's not going to write a book. But his book was written by a communist. And when you look back on a lot of the stuff that he said and did, it sounds like he's a communist. And the idea that he was a plant, that was another interesting one. Remember, he was completely unqualified to be president. He had 2 years in the Senate of doing nothing, and many years or a few years in a crooked legislature, which is usually a stepping stone to either nothing or jail. So, and then he did so much damage to the United States, it's incalculable, including giving money to the biggest terrorist in the world that was used to kill Americans, for which he's never been held accountable. And his wife made the extraordinary statement that she was never proud of her country. and I'm wrong that he and she hate America. I don't know. In any event, we now have Mark Cuban, who, just in case you didn't see the earlier show, did he do this today? Did Tampon Tim do it today?
So that definitely just happened
Here in
maybe a few hours ago.
Because Trump and Harris are both in Milwaukee, right? They both ended up in Milwaukee, right?
That's right.
Well, let's listen to Tampon Tim.
So this is, set the stage here. This is Tampon Tim today. I'm being told just minutes ago.
This is the attack of the day.
If you're a billionaire, Elon Musk, for example, say, that guy got it. Michigan knows that word. Look, that dude got a tax cut. If you're a billionaire, Elon Musk, for example, say, that guy got it. Michigan knows that word. Look, that dude got a tax cut. If you're a billionaire.
Mayor, what do you make of that?
What I make of it is, if that were a Republican candidate for vice president, right now they'd be saying we should remove him from the ticket. Because it's not so much that he says that Elon Musk is gay.
Yeah.
It's the attitude of derision.
The derogatory manner in which he's using.
So that there's something derogatory about his being gay, something stupid or something wrong with it. It certainly would give that impression to impressionable children. And for a guy who was a groomer of communists, he has to know what he's doing. I mean, he got a lot of training in China on how to groom people. I don't think he's very good at it, by the way, because he's such a clown. But I mean, this would be extraordinary if a Republican did this.
Can you imagine? Yeah, you're right. That's exactly what happened.
Isn't this crazy?
Get the hell out.
So yesterday, Biden says we're all garbage. Now today, he out of nowhere starts making fun of. He's making fun of Elon for being gay. Now we have no idea if Elon is gay or not, or nor do I care. And it seems he's not. I mean, not that it's just positive, but he's got children and seems to have gone out with women that sort of, wow, right? But if he is, what's wrong with it? I mean, you ran a gay club, Fatso. You ran a gay club and spent so much time out of it, you don't even know what a pick six is. So you couldn't have been much of a football coach. You also spent 30 times in China. You couldn't be much of a football coach. Football coaches don't have the time to go to China 30 times to get a bunch of young kids groomed to be communists or Marxists.
You also know, you notice at the end of the clip, he says, oh, Michigan knows what that means. So he's also saying Michigan's a bunch of anti-gay.
I didn't get that. I thought he said that Elon knows what that means. Did he say Michigan?
Yeah, let's listen again. Any reason to play it again, right?
Yeah,
if you're a billionaire, Elon Musk, for example, say, that guy got it. Michigan knows that word.
Michigan knows that word.
Gay?
Yeah. What a weird thing to say. What does he mean by that?
So the presidential candidate talks in word salads that indicate a rather weak intellect because she can't logically put ideas together. And this guy says things that are completely inscrutable. Except the attitude of derision. He certainly isn't trying to compliment you on being gay. And we have no reason to believe that he is or he isn't. And for a guy who ran a gay club for about 10 years or something, organized it. Which is back in those days, a little strange for a football coach. I don't know too many football coaches in the 1990s, early 1990s, who were running gay clubs. Now, and he wasn't a football coach. And he couldn't have had too many responsibilities because he was doing too many. Also, there must have been a point at which he was teaching. Or was that the time that he used to take for driving drunk? This guy is like, how do they find him?
I do think he's what a liberal, a coastal liberal who's never been to the Midwest thinks would attract other Midwesterners, right? Very surface level. Okay, they see this guy, his accent. Oh, he called Trump mean. I don't remember what it was from the
Weird.
Or weird. He called Trump weird. He's a genius. Right? That whole thing was weird.
Actually, he called Trump and Vance weird.
JD Vance is the most like relatable guy I maybe have ever
I know
met.
Trump forever. There's nothing weird about Trump.
Listen, Trump is cool. He's the definition of cool.
Whether you like Trump or not, there's nothing weird about him.
He's the definition of an American. He's like personifies American success and coolness.
So is he telling us in saying this about Elon that he thinks gays are weird?
The way he said it, it almost did sound like, you know, it is something you may have heard 30 years ago in high school, right? Unfortunately. But he's basically calling him, oh, Elon Musk is gay, and we in Michigan knows what that means.
What does it mean?
In a derogatory fashion, he's saying, oh, that's gay, right? What Tim Walz means is to call him gay is to throw a derogatory term at him, right?
Aren't we analyzing this way beyond anything we know?
He's trying to insult Elon Musk because Elon Musk dared to go outside of the golden circle.
Well, no, there's no question politically that Elon Musk's endorsement is very, very powerful because he reaches a certain group of people that might not necessarily accept Trump. Like, because Trump is not, Trump had a tremendous number of problems with the high tech people last time because he isn't that kind of a billionaire. So he makes them acceptable also to the extent that Trump, largely because our universities are so bad, that he has some trouble with the college educated. Elon can affect a certain number of them because he's obviously so classically bright. So Elon has been a very, very powerful endorsement, equal to Robert Kennedy's.
Yeah.
You know, Robert Kennedy's endorsement now is different. It's the biggest name Democrat endorsing him. And even though it's not going to bring you 100% of the vote, all he's got to do is bring in 1, 2, 3%. The other guy brings you 1, 2, 3%. Man, you won. So I think, look how they've been attacking Robert Kennedy. Today, there's a big article about Robert Kennedy being out of his mind because of vaccines. I don't think he's out of his mind before vaccines. And I'm hardly an expert. And unfortunately, Dr. Maria is not with us tonight. She doesn't think he is either. And she ran a hospital and was the number one CEO of rural hospitals for 7 years in a row. And when the pandemic came, she was supplying all of New Hampshire and part of Vermont because she was the only one that thought of getting PPP long before anybody else thought about it. And she was giving it to everybody else. So she understands we've gone crazy with vaccines. When my son and daughter-in-law came to me and showed me the list of vaccines they had organized, or people that they were recommending for Grace, and my son is probably more articulate and more knowledgeable on this than I am because he learned it because of his baby. It was ridiculous. They wanted to give the poor little baby about 25 vaccines. By the time they were finished, her whole body was going to be wounded. They were going to attack her with vaccines for things that don't even exist anymore. and then they have a whole schedule. They have a whole schedule of the vaccines for the next. I mean, you come to the obvious conclusion. Whether he's right about every single one of them or not, I have no idea. I would tend to go with him rather than the ridiculously corrupt and greedy pharmaceutical industry, because I got it all figured out now. I never thought about this very much, but my prosecutorial head starts to work. You make money on these vaccines, big money. I mean, I went nuts when one of the guys with the vaccine that isn't a vaccine, when they celebrated on New Year's because they became billionaires. They made billionaires by suckering you. And then they continue to call it a vaccine with lousy Fauci, who I think also has some kind of a horrible relationship with Red China. I'm going to tell you why in a minute. Fauci telling you had to take it, and when it turned out it wasn't a vaccine, which prevents you from getting the disease. See, now all of a sudden, after Biden promised you if you took it, and his apparatchik governors, who were all little dictators, were threatening to put you in jail if you didn't take it. It turned out it didn't work. It certainly didn't work as a vaccine. Well, then they changed the definition of vaccine, like little Marxists do. So, it doesn't really prevent the disease, but you don't get it as bad. Except people were getting it as bad.
Yeah, there was evidence that was actually quite the opposite.
Yeah, and then when I first asked, do I need to take a vaccine because I got it and I have a natural immunity? I've even been tested for antibodies, and oh, absolutely. Except Dr. Maria said, don't. It's a questionable vaccine, like all vaccines are. See, this vaccine had to be approved as an emergency. So it didn't go through 3 years of testing. It was really important. And this I can tell you for sure. They prevented treatment for that disease and got all kinds of people killed because if effective treatment had been recognized, they couldn't have gotten the emergency release to be able to sell the vaccine and make billions of dollars. That's about as big a corruption as the Biden crime family. And you want to read Robert Kennedy's book about it, go ahead, because it has about 2,000 footnotes. So you want to go test them. I did. I mean, when I read that book, I called him, and I'm not his friend, and I just said, this is probably one of the best books I've ever read in terms of proving your case. And boy, Fauci is a criminal. So now he's being attacked because they say he's some kind of a crazy vaxxer. They can't analyze all of that. All I can tell you is nothing crazy about him. And second, whether some parts are right or wrong, the overall thrust of what he's done is a great, great service to the health of America, because there are definitely way too many vaccines that we're giving to kids, and we're doing it for money. I'm not a scientist, but I am an investigator, and I got a nose for crime, which is why I was the most successful prosecutor in the 20th century. He's onto something, and God willing, Trump will give him the ability to fix it, because nobody owns Trump, which is why they want to kill him. That's what I believe.
No doubt about that.
Yeah, I really do. I think the way they've acted, the desperation of it, this isn't personal. This is business. You're going to get in the way of their greedy, disgusting business that they've been able to pull over our eyes since the day that freaking Obama came out of nowhere. Yeah. Let's play Reverend. The guy Obama wants to talk about God. Let's give us let's Let's show how he worshiped God.
Yeah, the altar he kneels
And
to.
how he worshiped God, the kind of God he worshiped, and the kind of guy that was his religious leader. Mine was Father Judge. Here's his religious leader.
Inferior schools, put them in substandard housing, put them in scientific experiments, put them in the lowest hopelessness. Government gives them the drugs, builds bigger prisons, passes a 3-strike law, and then wants us to sing God Bless America. No, no, no. Not God Bless America. God damn America that's in the Bible for killing innocent people. God damn America for treating us citizens as less than human. God
damn America for having 300,000 plus white men die to free black men. Huh? And you sit through that for years and years and years, and you're president of the United States. And when I say, I got a feeling you don't love America, who turns out to be right? Me. You don't sit through that if you love America. You walk out on that bum. That's not a man of God. All it's doing is feeding ancient anger, keeping people separate. Sure, there are terrible things about what America did. There are some great things about America did. And if you were a man of God who wanted to unify people, and you wanted to give your people the best chance of success in this country, you'd explain it to them honestly, not in the subversive way in which he did it, a lot of which was pushed by communists when they decided that the fault line in America would not be poverty, it'd be race. It was a very, very deliberate decision that communism and socialism wasn't working in America on the classic model of rich and poor, the bourgeois and the proletariat. Wasn't working because we didn't really have poor. You go take a look at poverty like in Haiti, and you'll look at Haiti in America and poverty in America. Because poverty in Haiti is third world poverty, worse than the rest of South America. So they realized that the fault line where they could divide us was race. They infiltrated the civil rights movement. They infiltrated the Democrat Party way back.
And it expanded to gender.
Now, don't tell me that right guy wasn't influenced by communism. There's an awful lot of things on the good side you could say about America that an honest man would balance what he said that with. And how could we elect a man president when that's his version of religion? And this is a guy that then ends up his presidency giving billions to a murdering dictator who used it to murder lots of people, lots of Jews, and our own people. But maybe we're not his people. We're the people who cling to guns and God and our racial hatred. Who has the hatred? Man, they just turn everything around, don't they? Do you realize how dangerous they are? And do you realize how we have to rip this out of our body politic and go back to the substantial values on which we were built? By yes, half of them slave owners, but half of them not. Even the ones that were, many of them were seeking ways to change it, including Jefferson, the one that we Hillary. Jefferson may be one of the reasons that we had a fortified abolition movement, Do you realize the poison pill for the slave owners with the words all men are created equal, putting it in our founding document? You don't think the smartest man who was ever president realized what he did? If you'd like and you do things like this, you can read about it because he wrote about it. He knew exactly what he was doing. As a 27-year-old, Thomas Jefferson wanted to free the slaves in Virginia, and he was told it just can't be done. He spent his whole life struggling over this morally. Maybe you feel he didn't have the courage to do more, but he did plenty in the time in which he lived. A lot more than what you just saw did to try to unite America. Well, we're going to take a break and we'll be right back.
The year is 2022. Cancel culture is the new normal. Online freedom as we know it has ended. Digital stockades are here. All activity is monitored, stored, and predictively analyzed by a technological cartel. We're being converted into a digital resource, a digital currency to be farmed for metadata and loaded into a computerized combine, blockchained to a social engineering operating system. However, it doesn't have to be this way. Be part of a new technological revolution. Right now, 1,000 test pilots have launched themselves into a new digital frontier, a private network outside of big tech control. New technology with state-of-the-art digital engagement and never-done-before security and privacy features that are now operational. With Quick's digital engagement, entertainment, communication, and commercial exchange will never be the same. We are QUX. Quicks. Advanced pre-release sales are limited to 3,000. Order now by visiting quicks.tv. Get yours now before they sell out. Be part of a brand new online experience that you control.
This is Rudy Giuliani, and you're watching America's Mayor Live, and you're ordering QUX, right?
That's right.
Or how about buying some pillows from our good friend, Mr. Pillows, huh?
Always. It's never a bad
Right
time
now,
to get your
right now, he's nervous as hell, like we all are, because we realize, although we feel rather optimistic, we realize. I mean, you hear these things like more Republicans did, or more Democrats did, or Republicans are ahead, or Democrats are ahead, and you sit back and you say to yourself, the stakes here are so high. It's not normal, or you can leave that in back. Oh, wow. Man, this guy's getting to be really good. So I've been urging you, and I really hope now you take it really seriously. Not much time left. I've been urging you to to volunteer, to help get out the vote, to volunteer to stop the steal, or to assure integrity. If we want to just say, well, they may not be stealing, but it sounds like a party that wants to steal. Can you imagine passing a law making it a crime to ask for identification? Who the heck does that but somebody that wants to steal? But in any event, we need you. And I get plenty of people, and I know you do, Ted, and Rob, you do, that come up to you, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? Well, you can go volunteer and you can help. But if you can't do anything else, you can sit down with a piece of paper and you can write out a bunch of names and you can call them up and you can tell them, go vote, go vote. I'll take you if I have to, particularly with this early voting going on. And then, of course, on Tuesday, you can be really active. So I have a little shout out here for people that during the course of the day, we found out, Rob and I found out, and many of them are friends of Rob because Rob has done what I asked him to do,
Yes.
which is to get these people to Melissa Fleming.
Yes.
We both talked to Melissa, and she's gotten people out to vote, and Nico has gotten people out to vote.
That's right. Nico is going to vote.
There's one here called Sashiko Kaufman. Now, who's she?
That's my wife.
That's your wife,
She
right?
went with me to vote early. We went in person and voted early prior to my coming down to West Palm Beach.
And Vincent Fazio, Uncle Vinny.
My cousin Vinny.
Vincent Vinny.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I do have an Uncle Vinny too, his dad, who, by the way, is going to vote tomorrow for Trump.
And they're only voting once. We're not like Democrats. You know, they have this expression, vote early and often, which is a joke to us. To them, they take it seriously. Then there's Sophia Dumpist.
Dampist.
Dampist.
That's my cousin Vinny's wife.
Okay, cousin Vinny's wife. Did she help him with the trial? Now, is this Ralph Vizituso?
Rivituso. Yes,
Rivituso.
Ralph. How you doing, Ralphie?
And Dino Rivituso.
His brother, Dino.
We got a couple Italians stuck in there. Huh?
Quite a few.
This is in New Jersey, right?
It's
A
certainly
lot,
is,
of,
yes.
a lot of Italians in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Claudia Rosing,
Claudia, my daughter,
Sean Rosing,
her husband,
Mike Fleming.
Mike Fleming, who we talked to on the phone,
Yes.
had the house in an uproar.
Right. So this is a group we want to say thank you for voting. And we're also going to urge you now, and we'll give you a second shout out if you do this, which is get a few people out to vote now.
Yeah.
Now that you voted, you got time.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Like I went to vote the other day. You came with me, and it was handled very nicely here in Florida, right?
Yeah, they did a great job.
Yeah.
Over there. Yeah. Very professional.
I didn't see any buses coming up with people like we do in New York or in Philadelphia or any of that stuff.
Yeah.
When you see the buses, you got to start getting nervous.
Well, we had the media there though, and because the media couldn't wait to get comments from Rudy and
Yeah, they wanted to jump on me.
Yeah, it was great.
We let him have it though.
Yeah.
Unlike Biden and Harris, and I'm not afraid of the media. Yeah, you see, she walks away all the time. Today she took no questions.
She never does.
No, something. She's been taking questions, but today she took no questions. Today, I guess. See, I think these attacks are orchestrated. I do not think, like a lot of people think that. Let's play. Can we play Biden again? We gotta do the garbage one again.
Yeah. Yep.
Now you get it ready. Oh, you really love that one with Tampon Tim, don't you? Yeah. He really looks like a jackass, doesn't he?
Ted likes when we call him just Tampon. He says it's even funnier than without the Tim.
You wanted to change it to Tampax because that's the
we looked.
Because I asked you to look up. I asked you to look up if this is a particular.
Brain.
It says a particular tampon that he.
The high schools that he put in the high schools.
Yeah.
It turned out that it was Tampax.
Well, that's probably the most famous one, I think.
Yeah.
I thought he might have used Guardian.
Yeah.
Guardian is a big brand. That's why they named the Cleveland Indians Guardian.
And he calls the MAGA people weird.
Right.
What do you call like tampons in a boy's bathroom? I think that's a little weird.
Now, before you play the jackass, doesn't he look like he's really gotten worse?
He's a nervous wreck, I think.
Do you think he deteriorated more since they kicked him out? You know, it wouldn't be unusual that the stress of that and the disappointment of it would increase the deterioration.
Yes, he didn't become the Democrat darling.
Remember, let's not, I've told you this for 5 years, that he has dementia. And not only that, I did a podcast in August of 2020 saying he has dementia. And now I have a hard drive covered up by his FBI for 2 years, in which his son and his son's psychiatrist joke around in 2019 that he had dementia. So this man was put in the White House where the people around him knew he had dementia, which is the reason they kept him in the basement. And he made statements back in 2020 that would be unbelievably clear indications that he did. about seeing Roosevelt on television, and Roosevelt was dead before there was television, or about liking the little children touching the legs, the hair on his legs,
That's
which
not
should have
fair.
alerted us to what eventually we were going to be treated to with the perverted pictures. So there was every indication that he was demented, and they wanted him because he was demented because they could push him around. But we ended up, we're going to end up with 4 years of a president that largely didn't know who the hell he was.
So here's
And one of the co-conspirators in that, main ones, is running for president. But he looks awful. Let's listen to his view of you and me who support Donald Trump.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization is seen as unconscionable, and it's un-American. The only
His
garbage I see
demonization is unconscionable. What about you, you piece of crap? What about this isn't the first time he's done this. The demonization of anybody that's MAGA.
yeah.
Make America great again. MAGA extremist. You can be a Make America Great Again extremist.
Crazy.
How about how many times has he said that America is systemically racist? Now, I don't know if you're sensitive of this or not, but I mean, I know the meaning of words. Systemic means almost everyone.
Right.
Now, he's so stupid, he may not even, well, I don't know. He's like the biggest racist on the public scene that I know. I don't know anybody that's in public office that has said things like, I wouldn't send my kids into the jungle, or you're not, if you don't vote for me, you're not black, right? What did he say?
Obama's the first clean-looking.
Yeah, Obama was the first clean-looking black to run for president.
Yeah, that was
Or pals, and eulogized years afterwards a guy with head of the Ku Klux Klan in West Virginia. Was a big opponent of busing constantly. That's what Kamala Harris, in her only moment of ever doing anything effective, beat the living crap out of him for being a racist.
Right.
And they got rid of her because she was standing in the way of engineering him into the White House.
How profound is that whole thing? She starts out by attacking him as a racist, then becomes his vice president.
Well, she's a complete liar.
Yeah.
I mean, if American people haven't realized that there's one word that applies, like in Neon likes inauthentic.
Yeah.
She's an inauthentic something, but we don't know what it is.
Vacuum cleaner.
That's just her own. She's done her own thing. She stands in front of the vice president's residence with the vice presidential seal and accuses Trump of being like Hitler. And nobody raises the fact that maybe she's violating the Hatch Act. Maybe this is not really a campaign of joy and unity. Hitler? I don't know. I mean, no matter how much you dislike this guy, what has he ever done to suggest he's like Hitler? As far as he's not killed anybody. They sure as hell got a lot of people killed. Maybe negligent homicide, like taking the troops out before the civilians that all the terrorists wanted to kill, and then, the terrorists killed them.
Yeah.
Or what they did in Afghanistan. I mean, those 13 mothers and fathers certainly think that Kamala and Joe killed their children.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we know there wouldn't be a Ukraine war if Trump were in office. I mean, Putin had a chance to have a war when Trump was in office. He had a war when Bush was in office, who has become an enormous disappointment to me. And when Obama was in office, who virtually invited it, and now with him in office. But Putin didn't attack when Trump was in office. Got to tell you something, right? Well, the reality is that they must be in much worse shape than everybody realizes, because this is not the way they started this campaign. They had a certain amount of attacks on Trump but it was the minor theme. The major theme was joy, a new beginning. But that soon passed when it looks like they don't have a single idea that's new. And when Stupid was asked how she's different than Biden and said she couldn't think of anything, she actually destroyed her campaign. First of all, it was a poor choice of words because I think it is true she can't think of anything. Because I believe that the word salads are an indication of an intellectual impairment. I don't think she can. I do not think her brain works logically, which is the reason she has to keep repeating things, because she really gets very confused when she has to lay out a logical answer. So if you give her a teleprompter, okay, she sticks with it, she'll be okay. If you prepare her and give her, not quite memorized, but really, really very rigid answers to things, she'll get by, like the debate. But notice how often she repeats exactly the same answer in every single respect, right? She just repeats it and repeats it and repeats it and repeats it. So she's clearly position where she knows that everything they've tried hasn't worked. And there's only one thing they've got left, which is to demonize Trump so that you vote for you vote for her because you're afraid of Trump. And they've now ratcheted it up to a level that is kind of insane.
Yeah.
It's almost insane. I mean, and I don't. What else do we get? We have 3 more days left. What else can they do? So now Elon Musk is gay, which sounded like they were trying to make it an attack. But I don't understand how a progressive thinks it's an attack to call somebody gay. But he sounded like he was trying to make it as an attack.
He absolutely was. Very bizarre. It's. We'll see how. Let's see if we can play it again.
Hey, you got to play that one more time because I mean.
Michigan knows that word. Look, that dude got a tax cut. If you're
Gay
a
guy,
Elon Musk,
referring to Elon, Michigan knows that word.
You heard that, right?
What does that mean? I have not gotten a good explanation for either of my two geniuses.
I'm telling you, this guy was.
Tell me, you know why? Because we're engaging in something fictional. We honestly don't know what he means. We really don't know only he can tell us what he means. But whatever it is, it's not good. Only he knows what he means. That gay guy, Michigan knows what that means.
I wonder if.
What does it mean to be gay? What does Michigan know?
Well, speaking of Michigan, we have our good friend, longtime friend of the show, senior advisor to Carrie Lake, one of our favorite Senate candidates, and I'm going to give her this, the #1 MAGA political strategist in America, Caroline Wren.
Hello there.
Hey, garbage.
Hey. Actually, I'm I believe a Nazi garbage member is what they call us too. So
yeah. Extremist. We're extreme garbage.
Yeah.
And maybe we're gay.
Who
knows? There's something
anymore?
bad about that.
Who knows?
Did you know that Elon was gay and that's bad?
Really?
That's what Walz said.
I
tonight.
only hold that about Tim Walz.
I mean, I don't know what they're doing. Every night it's a new gaffe. They're ridiculous statements.
I can't
Well,
believe
how's my favorite Senate candidate doing?
So
How's my favorite
Arizona is
Senate candidate
looking,
doing?
it's looking very good. Let me tell you what. So as of right now, Republicans have 180,000 ballot lead in Arizona. To put that in perspective, in 2020 at this time, Democrats had a 30,000 ballot lead. So that is a 210,000 ballot switch right there. And then on top of that, the ones that are turning out right now for Republicans are low propensity voters. They're what we call 0, 1, or 2 voters, which means they've only voted, either they haven't in the last 4 elections or they voted in one of them or twice. But we still have tons of space for our election day voters who we think are going to turn out in droves as well. And we are way out registered from the Democratic Party. So they're really running out of runway. I actually think that they kind of know that they can't win Arizona at this point, for at least at the top of the ticket. They're certainly still pouring in money and things behind, Ruben Gallego, who's just awful. But I will say these numbers are strong.
I am very, very happy to hear that. And I've always thought, and I think probably you're the one, is the reason I thought it, that if he wins by 2-3 points, inevitably she'll win.
Right. Yeah, and it looks like, we're entering a place where it was an R+8 environment. We were modeling off an R+4, then all of a sudden R+8 was the reach. Now it might be an R+10 environment, but I do think Donald Trump will win by at least 4. And then I still have yet to meet a Trump Gallego voter. I don't think that's a thing that really exists. If anything, there are people that just vote the very top of the ticket and then they don't vote down ballot. And so that's where you have a bit of a lag. But I do think Kerry's, a lot of the folks who are voting for Trump are coming home to Kerry right now. That's reflecting in the numbers. We have had 4 polls come out. These are public polls that just in the last 2 days that show Kerry Lake up or tied. In fact, yesterday there was a poll, and it was the Atlas Intel, who was actually the most accurate pollster in 2020. They polled the Michigan Senate race, the Wisconsin Senate race, the Pennsylvania Senate race, the Nevada Senate race, and the Arizona Senate race. And Kerry Lake was the only Republican leading, which we just have to recognize how amazing that is, because Mitch McConnell has spent $400 million in those other races, and he has spent $0 in Arizona. 0. And so if and when Kerry Lake wins on Tuesday, the entire DC consulting class is going down, because they will have proven that they are the biggest waste of donor money. They take $400 million from the same, 10 donors in New York City. They waste it every single cycle. And Kerry Lake is going to prove that you don't need their money. You don't have to take these, bribes, whatever you want to call it, from Washington, D.C., agree to certain leadership terms. You can win on your own terms with the people and telling them the truth and running a good campaign. So that is why I am most hopeful for Kerry to win, because she will really blow up that DC consulting culture.
And she won't have to. Isn't McConnell gone now?
Yeah, but McConnell's team still runs the Senate Leadership Fund, which is what has $400 million from these donors. So they are in control of it until the next leader is elected.
McConnell, that's the guy who got $5 million from his Chinese father-in-law, who comes from Taiwan, but became a billionaire from Red China.
Right.
Sounds a little funny to me. I think he's one of the guys that's frightened as hell.
Right.
This thing opens up, because literally in the book that first revealed the money from China, he's the second chapter.
Right.
He and his wife.
Right.
And the question is, how does a guy from Taiwan become a multi-billionaire in Red China?
Right.
I think
I have my theories.
Yeah, I have my theories too. Again, but like Biden, it'll be he's just doesn't remember.
Right.
What a disgraceful guy.
I know.
The way he turned on President Trump, and the way he threatened senators.
Yep.
I mean, he held. I am convinced that he held back any kind of Senate investigation of his old pal Biden.
Right. Yeah. Oh, he has. And remember, why is it that they don't want Kerry Lake?
Can't tell me he didn't know what a thief Biden was.
Right.
But of course they don't like Kerry Lake, because she's not part of the club. I mean, McConnell threatened Johnson and Grassley about investigating the stolen election and investigating the charges. about
That's another one that
Ukraine.
McConnell didn't fund. Ron Johnson. Every poll had Ron Johnson down going into election day. Every public poll, and Ron Johnson went on to win by 3.4 points. Mitch McConnell didn't give a penny. Mitch McConnell's not giving a penny to Rick Scott or Ted Cruz. He's not going to give it. If you want to know why, he doesn't give money to people that won't fund his war in Ukraine. That's what this is all about. It's who's going to get, McConnell's controlled by Raytheon and Boeing and all these corporations who say, oh, no, we'd rather have Ruben Gallego because we know he will fund our wars.
And he defends all the money to Ukraine. That was the one I was thinking about when he said we can feel very, very confident that the money is being spent legitimately, even though Ukraine is one of the most corrupt countries in the world, because it's going through the American military-industrial complex.
Right.
Except the military-industrial complex is the reason we have a Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, because they bribe everybody they can find all over the world, communist or otherwise.
Right.
Yeah, that's really going to help us. You don't think the American military-industrial has been whacking money up with the oligarchs in Ukraine for years?
Yeah, of course they have.
You really think we're stupid?
And Mitch McConnell's our first teller.
Complex. We can be very sure that the money in the military-industrial complex. Yeah, okay. Go ask the father-in-law for more money.
Right.
So how about the rest of the election? I know you're really tied into the Arizona thing, but you get any feeling for how about New Mexico? What was he doing in New Mexico the other day?
I didn't like that. I think it made us look cocky, and it was a mistake. I don't like he's going to Virginia, if I'm just going to be blunt. I think that Pennsylvania is make or break. Why are we not spending more of our time there? What are we doing in New Mexico and Virginia? Who cares? We can win those and lose, Virginia. Then this doesn't make sense to me. I'm surprised to see him going to North Carolina 4 times. So that makes me a little nervous. I didn't know there was that level, I guess, of an issue.
Oh, no. North Carolina, of the 3, 4 times might be a little much, but a little attention in North Carolina is worth it.
Right.
Just in case.
And there were some polls.
There were some polls, believe it or not, where he looked stronger in Georgia than in North Carolina.
Right. Well, we know polls are for strippers and firemen, not predicting elections or travel. But that's how I like to run the races. But
you're a very weak woman.
I know. Well, isn't that according to Mark Cuban thinks unintelligent idiot?
Oh, I forgot you're unintelligent too. Mm-hmm. What else are you? I've forgotten.
A Nazi.
You're very weak.
A piece of garbage. Weak. Ruben Gallego thinks anyone who votes for Trump is dumb, so add that in. So it's the left that hates us. They like to say that the Republicans are who divide us. We're like, everyone come on in. I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, or Vegetarian. You want lower taxes. You want to not fight these crazy wars. You want to get our prices under control. Come on in. The Democrats that just despise us and declared this war against us, not the other way around.
There's nothing left to divide after they're finished. How can we be divisive? Right. They're so damn divided by the time they're finished with us.
Right.
You can't divide. There's nothing left to divide.
I know. Hey, did you see those reports of the company in there was 4 different counties in Pennsylvania that opened a investigation into this company that was doing illegal ballot registrations that they just discovered?
Yes.
So that came out yesterday that now I believe there's going to be a couple more counties come forward as well. And I guess what they were doing is they were making fake registrations, fake signatures. Well, the company, I'm looking at it last night and I'm at the event. It's a Tucker Carlson Trump event in Arizona. And I was reading on my phone and I recognized the name of the company. I said, wait a minute, why do I remember that? Well, it's an Arizona-based company that I have thought for years was behind all of the ballot harvesting fraud. They're the Mi Familia. They're paid by all the Arabelle Advisor nonprofits. It's this Dem consulting firm. And so I look at it, I'm like, wait, that is the same firm. It turns out they're operating out of Arizona, and they're now under investigation in 4, soon to be 6 counties in Pennsylvania for fraud. So I'm getting nervous because I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, they're operating right under our own nose here. So what are they pulling off in Arizona? And so we start digging into it last night. I start going off on Twitter and tagging. There's about, first their website's up, and I find all their employees on LinkedIn. Start tagging them one by one. Boom, the website goes down. Every employee starts scrubbing the internet of themselves. Everyone starts deleting their Twitter account. Then find out the CEO of this company is the vice mayor of Mesa, Arizona. He was business partners hired by Adrian Fontes, cartel attorney, by the way. He owns a massive printing shop in downtown Mesa. Now, why would a man under investigation in 4 counties for ballot fraud own a printing shop? What on earth could he be using that for? So we go to track the printing shop today. It's just a house on this street. And I mean, the stuff that we are uncovering
like the one in Fulton County.
Look at this. Based in Arizona, paid $100,000. So can't even believe it. So then I go and look on Ruben Gallego's website, Carrie's opponent of endorsements. The CEO of this company is listed proudly as endorsing Ruben Gallego on his website. Then I go and look on his Twitter account. He was with Ruben Gallego 5 days ago at a roundtable meeting while actively under investigation. So then he gets contacted today and he says, oh no, we're totally legit. In fact, I'm in daily contact with the Maricopa County Recorder's Office. I'm like, oh, that makes me feel so much better. The guy under
that's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Of course you're in daily contact with Stephen Richer. Why wouldn't you be?
Well, in the last election, in which, if you say it was stolen, you get canceled. They started importing the ballots into Pennsylvania in October.
Yep.
That big truck that came down from Nassau County was mid-October.
Yep.
So that guy, said they were ballots.
Yeah.
Then he changed his testimony after the FBI talked to him. Now he says he was coerced into doing that.
Right.
But nobody wants to listen to him.
This is why I've been advocating for a bounty program. And if Elon really wanted to help, he wouldn't spend a bunch of money on TV ads and all these people spending on TV ads. Just announce a $50 million bounty and say, hey, guess what? And if you worked at this company here and you have information on the CEO and the people at the top, you come forward and you can come forward anonymously, but you come tell us what they did, or by the way, Arizona is a one-party record state. Go record them talking about what it is, the fraud they're committing. Come bring it to us. And if it's credible enough and good, then you're eligible for a payment. But I really think that's how the left, that's how we should be playing this game with these people. They're not even hiding it anymore.
Oh, I tell you, you really are a weakling. Just like they said, all these women, they're all weakling.
Right.
Well, you hardly are that. God bless you. Yep. Keep at it. And we're rooting for Carrie.
Good.
It would be a big one. It'd be a big one.
I know.
And I think she's one of our very best candidates. So
you too.
Let's see.
All right.
You keep working.
You so much. Thanks everyone
watching
watching
the show. Over the weekend. All right.
Vote.
Thanks.
Thank you, Caroline. You're the best.
Isn't she the best?
She really is.
Wow. Is she the best?
Love Caroline.
Pauline.
Paulina's here.
Thank you for joining us.
We'll take a quick
quick break and we'll reorganize ourselves and then we'll go to our last of our Friday segments with the electoral map.
Yeah.
We'll do one more on Monday and then we'll find out what really happened. But I think on Monday we're going to be willing to sign it.
Yeah, we'll have to, right?
Yeah.
All righty.
We're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50% and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. Or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee. So this is Rudy Giuliani, and we're back with the America's Mayor Live show. And I'm pretty sure it was on this show last night that I asked you to make sure you don't get yourself rooked and taken advantage of at a store that overprices everything called Neiman Marcus. And we read to you some of the things. I'll remind you of that. But I want to show you their Christmas. I want to show you their Christmas catalog. That's their Christmas catalog. Can we show that, Ted?
Yep. It's going to take a second.
That's their Christmas catalog. Notice it says a Neiman's Fantasy. Now, people are not doing Christmas shopping for the Neiman's Fantasy, whatever the hell that is. They have definitely, I mean, the department stores, not just Neiman Marcus, have degraded Christmas tremendously. You don't mention Jesus anymore. Oh, my goodness. They start Christmas shopping on July 4th. I mean, they start decorating these stores here so early, it's ridiculous. And why don't you show, can we, well, that's the catalog. And they have banned the use of the word Christmas in their store. Now, their employees are outraged by it because their employees were not even notified of this. They read about it in the Dallas Morning News, that they're no longer going to call it Christmas. And they're doing this because they want to be inclusive. Except they're not being inclusive of the people who celebrate Christmas. I mean, this is like true Orwellian thinking, right? Isn't the way to do it to recognize Christmas and then to recognize other people's holidays? And so we live in a world in which we're not one religion, we're not one race, we're not one ethnic group. That's been the beauty of this country, and we respect each other. But we don't respect each other by saying, oh, you can't say Merry Christmas. Because to me, it is Christmas. And I'm not offended if people wish each other a happy New Year when it's the Jewish New Year's or the Asian New Year's. I'm not offended by that. Or if they have celebrations or doesn't offend me. And the only thing I have against Ramadan is there's always a lot of killings on Ramadan. And I don't get it because there aren't killings on the Asian New Year, and there aren't killings on Yom Kippur, and there aren't killings on Easter and Christmas. And what the heck are all these killings going on Ramadan? But in any event, if you're a peaceful Muslim and you celebrate Ramadan, God bless you. But what the heck you got to take Christmas away for? There are, I mean, it may be that the belief in God has gone down, but it's not extinguished yet. Thank God. Maybe among Democrats, but not among regular people, like really nice people who don't call their enemies things like garbage and Nazis and Hitler, right? So I say, don't buy anything in Neiman Marcus. It's a shitty store anyway. Look, I'm going to read you some of the things that, I mean, do you really need an Emily in Paris costume designer styling experience for $175,000? I mean, maybe Nancy Insider Trading Pelosi does, but you don't need it. I mean, she doesn't have like an original body part on her face anymore. And do you think, is it on your bucket list to have a $775,000 safari in Namibia? I mean, you think you could get by without one? Or what about a 7-foot-long, 1.9 million 18th century carriage? That'd be good to have right in the middle of Manhattan, a 7-foot-long, $1.9 million 18th century carriage. You can buy that as part of the Neiman fantasy. So you're not going to miss much not shopping at this store. And they're being sold anyway by the CEO, Jeffrey Van, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, Ramdonk. Jeffrey Van Ramdonk is the CEO who, in his last year as CEO, has gotten his wish of ruining Christmas. And in the name of inclusiveness, he has been extremely discriminatory, which is what being woke is all about. And this is what we got to fix culturally. Remember how the Red Chinese had a cultural revolution? All that burning of statues and burning of flags and kneeling during the national anthem and the revision of history, the 1619 revision of history, or the horrible stuff I just played from Obama's minister. That's all part of the cultural revolution they're putting us through in order to make us a communist country. This is part of it too. Take away Christmas. Too powerful. God, after all, it's a bad thing to cling to God. Didn't you hear Obama say that earlier? It's a bad thing to cling to God. Better to cling to Obama, Prince Obama, who can do nothing wrong. Is there anybody that really is under any illusion that Obama was elected for any reason other than the fact that he was black? He had only been a senator for 2 years. He had nothing to his credit, not a single thing that he did. And he had been a legislator in one of the most corrupt legislatures in the country. That was his background, to be president of the United States. And one other thing, he'd be the first black president. And according to Joe Biden, he was the first clean black, whatever the hell that means. He was the first clean black, which would reveal the fact that they call everybody else racist because they are. In any event, Pauline, we're going to put you and Ted, and again, tell me your name again. Ingrid. You might have to talk a little louder, and Rob, we're gonna anybody who has any thoughts on these states, we want to hear it now because this is our second to last chance. This is our second to last chance. To make our picks. So let's get rid of the easy ones very, very quickly. You can move in a little more, Rob, without interfering. So we'll start on the West Coast. The three along the Pacific Ocean, right there. The California, where if you ask for an identification, it's a felony.
It's crazy.
I mean, they burned down Los Angeles because the Dodgers won the World Series. And I question, what would they have done if the Dodgers lost the World Series? Burned the entire state? I mean, I get a little offended that someone doesn't say, gee, Giuliani, you did a great job. You won the World Series 4 times, and when you're mayor, nobody touched anything. In New York, we lost the World Series and we didn't burn it. You guys win it and you burn it.
People still
So, okay, you're going to vote for Kamala.
people still praise you in New York when they were growing up for giving them off school to celebrate the World Series in a nice way.
Yeah, I do not remember 4 World Series victories, a loss and a loss at a very difficult time too, right after September 11 to the Arizona Diamondbacks, a loss now to the Dodgers. New York City is not the calmest place in the world, but we don't burn it because we win or lose the World Series.
It's too busy.
That's a city that is purely Democrat. It's all red, I mean, all blue, and it has a Soros DA who doesn't put anybody in jail. All the criminals are out on the street. So, yeah, she can have California, Oregon, and Washington. I'm looking to trade them, maybe for something in Canada, or I'd be willing to give up some of that territory there. I get some of the oil fields in Canada might be worth it. Too bad we don't have Jefferson around, like the Louisiana Purchase. My mother always thought we should have part of Canada. So now the red states, I think, are all. Now, anybody who wants to object, I'm going to call out these states and tell me you think that these are wrong, but I don't think you will. Idaho, Utah, Montana, Wyoming, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska. You see that one little one there? That's the congressional district that's going to vote Democrat. Well, you mean moving around like that? Okay, well, I don't know what to do.
Right there.
Stay there and don't move. That's what you have to do. Maybe I talk to Siri. Siri, keep it there. All right.
Freeze frame.
She shook her head. She went like that. Kansas and Oklahoma, fine. The lighter reds indicate, see it jumping again. The lighter reds indicate don't touch anything. Oh, the paperclip?
Take everything off the keyboard.
There you go. Okay, everything's off the keyboard now. That's okay. It makes it interesting if it jumps around like that. So they have Texas and they have Alaska as leaning a Republican. That's why it's a little, almost pinky, right? And but I would say that's ridiculous. That's going to go Republican. That's going to go Republican. So now we got half the country, right? Here we go.
That's good.
Now we got 2 states open in the West, Nevada and Arizona. So Ted, do you want to say something about that? Or does anybody want to say anything?
Right?
Yeah.
Is that what Caroline was talking
I
about?
think we come on Arizona. I do. For both Karen Lake and
Saying Arizona's going red.
Yeah, I'd say red too, just because of the huge human trafficking epidemic there.
What?
Human trafficking epidemic.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's definitely going to make it go red. The hotline has been so busy the last 3 to 4 years. I know people personally that are on it nonstop, with survivors and people that have been like severely traumatized from it. So, and that's a big volunteering thing too that people should look into, like volunteering to talk on the hotline.
So, about a year and a half ago, when Governor Abbott sealed up the El Paso and also Eagle Pass in Texas, which we can show them where it would be. It would be sort of over there. I don't know if it doesn't, not going to show. I'd have to change the color of it. But basically, he cut down dramatically the number of illegal aliens that came in through Texas. And then he put the barbed wire in the river, which made it even worse for them. And the phony Biden-Harris administration went to court, got the Supreme Court to agree that Abbott couldn't do that. But they never removed the barbed wire. Because I don't think they wanted to be seen as removing the barbed wire and letting everybody come in. And so Texas, although they got still big problems. They have a whole city taken over by Tron de Aragua. But a lot of the migrants moved over to New Mexico and Arizona. And Arizona's been getting the brunt of it for the last year and a half. They've been getting the biggest illegals coming in.
To make their way to California too. It makes sense.
And it also has really upset the Hispanic community.
Yeah.
It used to be that Hispanics were kind of sensitive to illegal immigration because a lot of them were Mexican. A lot of the illegal immigrants were Mexican.
The subject.
But they were a different kind of illegal immigrant.
Yeah.
They were, by and large, working illegal immigrants with a few criminals taking advantage of it. Now we've got largely non-working with a few good people coming in. Like in New York, when Adams offered them jobs, only 5% wanted jobs.
That's crazy. And it's amazing how that's not in headlines.
Oh, yeah. Well, none of it was in the headlines. Not even the killings were in the headlines until he and I had something to do with that. We started finding these things they were lying about, but nobody would do anything with it until Laken Riley was killed. Because when they originally described her rapist murderer, he was described as a guy from Athens, Georgia, except he came from Venezuela.
Yeah.
Only 4 months before he got to Athens, Georgia. And he was released by the New York courts twice.
It's crazy.
So I think Arizona, we can put in the, we can put it in the red column, and that puts Republicans ahead of Democrats, or Trump ahead of Harris by 230 to 226.
It's
with 82 votes outstanding for president.
So did they have Texas as pink before?
They had it as pink. I made it red.
Yeah, I agree with it being red. But do you think they had it as pink because of the mass exodus from California? Because people just don't learn. Like they're fleeing high taxes and they're still going to vote blue.
It's the weirdest thing because we had that.
It is crazy.
Contradictory.
Before there were cars and things like that, when I was a young boy, we had that phenomenon in New York. Many people fled New York City to go to the suburbs.
Yeah.
Nassau, Suffolk, Westchester. But the suburbs became heavily Republican because the people who fled understood the reasons they fled. So they left New York because of the crime, the lousy schools, the high taxes. They weren't going to repeat the same mistake in the suburbs. But the people from California, you see, are really just, something happens in California. So something happens in the air in California. For example, when you win the World Series, you burn things. So there really has to be something wrong with them.
Yeah.
So they now they go to other states and they ruin the place. Now, I don't know if I would even take. I really do think they should be traded, but that's okay. The real question is Nevada. And given the returns so far, where Republicans actually have done either more early voting than the Democrats, or only about 2% difference when it was 12% difference last time, and the fact that the Culinary Union supports Trump, I think he's going to win Nevada. But I'll make it a leaning.
I want to hear that. Yeah.
I'm going to make it a leaning. I'm not going to make it a definite like Arizona. I think it could go the other way. But I think if I had to make a choice at this late date as to which way it's going to go, because when I first started picking Nevada, you thought I was crazy. But on election night, you're going to thank me. You're going to say, Rudy was right. Rudy was right. Like I was right about, Russian collusion being bullshit. And I was right about the Biden family being the most corrupt family that ever inhabited the White House. Now let's go south, because we know the really interesting ones of Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. Georgia and North Carolina, they're both going to go Republican. And just maybe for the sake of argument, I'll make them leaning. although I don't think they're leaning. I think they're definitely Republican. I think that Georgia is a united Republican Party now. And I don't see. I don't see it's being close enough so that they can steal it. At North Carolina, we were able to win last time. I don't see why we're not going to win it this time. And I think a lot of the people that were affected by the hurricane have early voted. A lot of them have early voted. You can figure out who they voted for.
Yeah.
They sure as hell are not going to vote for the guy who was on the beach and the one who was out in California while they were dying. I mean, she was flying back and forth, drinking with Gretchen Whitmer while they were dying.
I read an article that she posed in front of a chopper, a helicopter full of aid, and the aid never got sent out. It was just for publicity.
Did you see her? Oh, well, I showed that the other night. Did you see her in the bar trying to pick up guys with Gretchen?
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if they picked up anybody. I told you I think Gretchen would be the one the guy'd be more attracted to, but that's just my own opinion. So that if he wins those, he's now 2 votes away. He's 2 votes away from winning. See, 268 to 2. You got to be 270. I would take New Hampshire, and I would put New Hampshire in the lean Republican spot. It's tied right now. And I might change my mind on Monday, but usually you win a state going in your direction at the end. So that's been pretty much Harris. And in the last 2 weeks, it keeps narrowing, like from 3 points to 2 points to 1 point.
New Hampshire.
To now even, and one poll in which he's ahead in New Hampshire. So I think so. Now you get the big ones, Ted. I can't make a call on Michigan without you, but you're being very silent and you're not committing yourself. And you're trying to be sly. You're trying to be sly.
Coordinating the cameras here. We got the mics.
All those excuses. Come on.
Trump.
You've been able to make choices before.
In 16,
yeah,
this close to the election, my gut was saying Trump is going to pull this thing off by the skin of his teeth. In 20, I knew it was going to be close. I didn't feel the same way as I did in 16. I knew it was going to be close. Biden's a different candidate than Hillary in Michigan. Again, this is all taking into account the fact that they are going to cheat, and they have been cheating in every presidential election that I've been alive for and beyond. So,
and you got that Secretary of State who's already tried to fix the election.
But that's every cycle. So again, we're building that in as we analyze this. Okay, 16, I felt, wow, Trump's going to pull this thing off. Hillary wasn't paying attention to Michigan. 20, wasn't sure, right? I knew it was going to be tight. 24. I'm feeling like Trump's going to pull this thing off. Trump's going to win Michigan. It'll be close.
You're feeling 16.
But he's going to win. I'm feeling much more like 16 than 20. Kamala Harris isn't Joe Biden. Kamala Harris 2024 isn't Joe Biden of 2020. Kamala Harris 24 isn't even Hillary Clinton of 16, right? Hillary Clinton, for all of her weaknesses as a candidate, I wouldn't call her a weak woman, right? She was a weak politician. Yeah.
Hillary's not a weak woman.
She's not a weak woman at all.
I mean, she's a lot of things, but she's not weak.
Exactly. And she's not, and she can string some sentences together.
No, she's an intelligent woman.
And she would respond to the questions. She often lied, but at least her responses to the questions.
I didn't say she was an honest woman.
Yeah, so, we're agreeing. We're agreeing. Yeah.
Woman.
And that's none of those things Kamala Harris fits. And Clinton had the Clinton last name, right? And Bill Clinton did well in Michigan. They thought that was going to translate to Hillary, and it didn't. But it probably did to a degree, right? So Kamala Harris, I feel, is the worst Democrat performing candidate. And it's hard. I mean, look, it's hard to say this for certain until after the results.
The only one I could compare her to, in my experience with Democratic candidates, is maybe George McGovern, but certainly maybe Dukakis. Michael Dukakis in 1988, who was a terrible candidate. But he was definitely smarter than her. He was an intelligent man, but he was extremely liberal, and even the release of the release of the prisoner that Roger either did or didn't use in an ad really killed him. I mean, he let out a lifer on a weekend pass who then killed somebody. Now, what kind of jackass lets a lifer out of prison? Guy sentenced to life in prison for multiple murders. And you let him out for a weekend vacation? So you say to yourself, well, I can't have him as a president. Obviously, he's too silly a liberal to protect us. But in any event, that was one of the things that went down. And then that terrific ad that was done, the Horton ad is the one that was Willie Horton was the guy who he let out of jail who killed someone. And they did an ad with Willie Horton, a kind of revolving door, people going in and out of prison. And it became a big scandal because they said it was a racist ad. Nothing racist about it at all. I mean, Willie Horton was the guy who was let out of jail. Willie Horton happened to be black. They didn't say that all blacks did that. They said Willie Horton did it. But they made it into a racist ad, and they blamed Roger Ailes for it. But then Roger got even because he did an ad that maybe is one of the 3 or 4 best in the history of politics. Michael Dukakis went on a military base, and they put him in a tank. And Michael Dukakis was a little short guy. And they put a helmet on him. The helmet was too big. His head, it covered his head. And he could hardly see out of the tank. So Roger played him in the tank. And on the side, he played all of the military programs that Dukakis had voted against. And he said, by the time you finish, we will have nothing to defend ourselves. And he'll have his wish. The Soviets will take over. But he looked like a little jackass in it. You have it there? There he is, yeah. He was like a complete...
fish out of water.
Yeah, a complete anti-military, against every military program, every defense program imaginable. But in any event, he might have been No, he wasn't a worse candidate than her because he was smarter than her. Maybe McGovern. I mean, did McGovern even win a state? I don't know. One. Okay. So Michigan, we are going to, so how do we do it? We do it, we got 2, this is like just leaning. We want to make it a little stronger than leaning. We can go one step stronger than leaning without, because I'm going to take Georgia one step more than leaning. And I'm going to take North Carolina one step more than leaning. Notice it isn't quite solid red yet, right? Like New Mexico, we have a leaning Dem, but not 100% Dem. And Colorado, we have 100% Dem. So we'll make it the little more Republican. Now we have them over the top at 287. So now we're talking about how big a victory is it going to be. And we have 2 states, we have 29 electoral votes left. Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. So which one do we want to address first?
Was he in Wisconsin today, Trump?
Yeah, yes, they're both in Milwaukee. Both he and Kamala is in Milwaukee. And we're waiting for a report as to who she insults tonight. They insult somebody every night, so there must be somebody they're going to insult tonight. Maybe, I wish they would insult me. I would feel much better. I guess it's good enough they want to put me in prison for the rest of my life. So let's do Wisconsin first, since they're there. What are they doing in Wisconsin?
Both candidates will be holding rallies in Milwaukee tonight. You're looking live at the Pfizer. I never did get the name down. The Pfizer, the Pfizer.
That's where the convention was.
Arena, where the Republican convention was in downtown Milwaukee, home of the Milwaukee Bucks.
It was complicated too, wasn't it?
Basketball team
to get into and to get around.
It was. Security was tight, of course. It was just after the first assassination attempt on the president.
Almost killed, which the FBI can't figure out.
So that's a live look at the location of President Trump's rally. We are now looking to see where
President Trump
Kamala
was
Harris will be
killed
doing
by a
her
would-be
event.
assassin who's the only person in the history of America that never said anything. They can find no record of anything about him. You think somebody did away with the records? Sorry, but I'm a conspiracy theorist. So what do we think? What do we think of Wisconsin? Anybody want to make a prediction on Wisconsin?
That's in your name.
Trump's taking Wisconsin. I mean, look, I'm from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, so the second hand, if you look at Michigan,
You're that little pink spot on the top
yeah,
of Wisconsin.
and I'm on the
It
thumb,
looks like the
very top
like
of
wavy hair on their head.
Yes, and I'm on the tip of that peninsula there. That's called the
the
Keweenaw
one that
Peninsula.
comes out all the way to the side.
Yeah, Keweenaw Peninsula. It's called the Copper Country. A lot of copper mines. The Copper Country. Copper Country. A lot of mining. Copper mining.
You said something.
Oh, the Keweenaw Peninsula. That's
Keweenaw?
Keweenaw.
Like the
Indian.
like the
Keweenaw. Indian.
Like the terrible people who were going to do the insurrection.
Oh, like the QAnon shaman. That's the QAnon shaman. That is similar. Keweenaw. K-E-E-W-E.
You know, they're really tough because they were going to have an insurrection without even carrying a gun.
Not a single weapon.
Without a single weapon, they were going to take over the biggest military power in the world.
Yeah.
Without a weapon.
Yeah.
That's pretty hard.
And a lot of those folks, you know, they're like real estate agents from Wisconsin. Like, you know, I mean, it's like our parents, right?
So you've heard the latest, right? Paulina, you've heard the latest? That is Jamie Raskin, whose father was a communist, who pretends he is, says that if Trump gets elected, they're not going to seat him.
It's terrible.
I don't know how they're going to do that. First of all, I do think we'll have control of. I don't think there's anybody that doubts very much we'll have control of the House. And I think it's almost certain we'll have control of the Senate, because West Virginia and West Virginia and Montana, we just have to win those and not lose a seat, and we have 51 votes. And there's no seat that we have up that we're going to lose. And there are a number that we could win. I mean, we're even in Pennsylvania right now, if not ahead. McCormick over Casey. Ohio is basically also even. So we could pick up Ohio. What am I missing, Ted? There's another one. And Michigan. I think Rogers is going to beat her, particularly if Trump does a little better than like a 1-point win.
I agree.
If he does like a 3-point win, he'll have the same impact there.
Yes.
He'll have the same impact there that he's going to have in Arizona.
Agreed. All across the.
So now, if you have the House and Senate, you can not swear him in.
That's right.
But he claims
they'll definitely try.
So I don't know what he's thinking about, but
hopefully some level-headed Democrats will stop that in its tracks. I'm not super confident. I think there's a chance, though, because the public opinion is going to be very much against it.
You know, I'd really like to. I'm going to try to. We're going to try to reach Governor Walker over the weekend, because I would really feel comfortable if he told me what was going to happen in Wisconsin.
I do think Trump. Look, I think President Trump, like in Michigan, is a tailor-made Republican candidate for a state like Wisconsin, where you have a lot of hardworking people who love their country, who are impacted by bad trade deals. Michigan more than Wisconsin, just based off of our industry.
The mere fact that they cut the people that can cast absentee ballots because they're considered to be unable to move and do things, and they cut the ones that are dead from the vote. They got rid of half of them from the voting roll. If you put that in half, and we have the same vote that we had in 2020, then he wins Wisconsin. You have anybody else have a view on it? Anybody else on Wisconsin?
I don't know enough about Wisconsin.
Well, I think with like the manufacturing jobs, I know that's mainly Michigan, but I assume Wisconsin too. Like
Yeah,
leaving the
it's similar,
country.
not as bad.
Not as.
But it's also more Republican than Michigan.
Yeah. Well, they want jobs. They want a better way of living. I think they're gonna vote Trump unless it's
Yeah.
The question is for them, how much does the media's constant 9-year, 8-year smear campaign against President Trump impact these folks, right? These are hardworking, family-oriented people, and they hear from the media for 8 straight years how bad of a person Trump is. It's going to impact some folks.
Well, what about how much of an impact do you think this last group of totally outrageous attacks that have been made, Nazis, Hitler, garbage, now whatever it was meant to be, that Elon Musk is gay. I mean, there's obviously something wrong with them.
Right. But the question is, and the Harris people are asking themselves this question, right, this weekend, how much is that going to fire up the Trump voter, right? This is only going to fire them up more.
Is it going to turn off that little 1%,
exactly,
undecided vote?
How does it impact the undecideds when they hear, oh, Biden's out there calling Trump supporters garbage? So the Kamala Harris campaign is banking on that. Well, they weren't expecting that, but they're hoping now that sort of messaging won't impact the undecided, right? They're hammering in the closing days. They're hammering January 6th insurrection, like you said. They're going over the top on the Nazi stuff, but that's their closing message. That a return to Trump is a return. Look at January 6th. He's a threat to democracy, the chaos, and all of that. And the question is whether that will work or not. That's their closing message.
Los Angeles the other night was worse than January 6th. There was no fire like that in the Capitol.
I think they appear to be flailing.
So who wants to make a call in Wisconsin? No.
President Trump is taking Wisconsin. He just got the endorsement of Brett Favre. For those of us, anyone that knows Wisconsin,
but she got Cardi B.
Cardi B.
Gee, you're right. Yeah, we do have. I have clips for that.
I do not. This is actually true, and I'm not trying to be a wise guy. I don't know who Cardi B is.
Well, I'm gonna bring her up here. You let me know. This is Cardi B. This is Cardi B.
Oh God, that's embarrassing.
Here's Cardi B for you. Here's Cardi B. This is Cardi B, Mayor.
Oh my God!
I got her on.
So here, I'll get the Instagram photos.
I got her on here. I hope I don't have the language. This is Cardi B.
I forgot my password here.
So that's Cardi B. We showed her there, Mayor, and then we'll show a little bit of Brett Favre here.
My Instagram login request sent. Yeah, try another way.
So who would you? So that was Cardi B. So Kamala Harris comes in with Cardi B. Here's Brett Favre. Here's my guy Brett Favre right here.
How many
we have Brett Favre
kids does Cardi B have?
Is that the question?
What's Cardi B's nationality?
Here's Brett Favre right
American. Here. Her mother was from Trinidad and her father was from the Dominican Republic. When did Cardi B come out? Does that suggest that she's gay? Come out? Oh no, they mean as a singer. Okay. So I didn't mean to be. I've just come out.
Yeah.
How much does Cardi B weigh? You want to know? 130 pounds. I don't think that's true. She's not 130 pounds. Come on. Stop that. You're a lot more than 130 pounds. You got a picture of her? I know you're looking at Brett Favre and I'm looking at Cardi B.
Oh, so we had Cardi B up before that. So bring back Cardi B.
I got a picture of here.
Bringing up Cardi B. This is Cardi B, Mayor.
I'd say Cardi B is about 170, 160. Oh yeah. Yeah. That alone is more than.
Oh my God.
This going to be an ad?
Part of the American.
This will be part of the Gretchen Whitmer. This will be part of the Gretchen Whitmer So you can go with Cardi B, or
There's,
or you can have Brett Favre. I mean, of course, neither one of them know what the hell they're talking about, but if you got to go with somebody, you might as well go with a guy, who did something difficult. Shaking your backside like that's not so hard.
That was disgusting to have to look at.
And lying about your weight.
Yeah.
Look at that throw, 99-yard. Donald Driver. Wow.
You just wanted to put these on, I know. So, okay, we're giving Wisconsin. We think the people of Wisconsin will prefer Brett Favre to what we just saw. Okay. So now we go to my favorite state, other than Florida and New York, right? And that is Pennsylvania.
He's winning it.
Yeah, I think definitely red, unless there's voter fraud.
That's a big
like
unless,
we've
though.
been, yeah.
Because that is
Definitely red, unless.
It used to be Chicago was the capital of voter fraud.
Yeah.
But I would say Philadelphia did a miracle last time in taking Biden back from an 800,000 vote deficit after the polls closed.
Yeah.
I was told by a mathematician that it was mathematically impossible at that point for Biden to win the state unless they created votes. So I don't put anything past them, but I have a feeling that the whole party is not going to go out the same way for her that they did for Biden, because I don't think the governor really wants her to win.
I agree.
I think the governor wants to be president, and she would stand in the way of his being president.
Yeah.
So what do you say, Ted? You've been silent on Pennsylvania.
On Pennsylvania, President Trump is going to pull this thing off. Look, in 2016.
You want to go there?
I do. Look, again, it's a similar problem I think that Kamala has in Michigan and to a degree Wisconsin and really all over the country, right? She's not Joe Biden of 2020. She's just not. And she's not Hillary Clinton. I'm trying to compare her to a Democrat nominee.
Hillary was not a good candidate in Pennsylvania.
Hillary was a terrible candidate, but somehow Hillary still, I don't see her as bad a candidate as Kamala.
Well, Hillary almost won Pennsylvania.
Exactly. We're doing the early voting now.
We've never seen anything like communist Harris. We've never seen
Exactly.
anything like that. That's like from a cartoon.
Yes.
Deteriorate the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
Truly.
So I think that's why Shapiro, Whitmer, Newsom, they don't want her winning. They don't want
even when she was a stronger candidate, when their propaganda was working, I always thought she was easier to beat in Pennsylvania than Biden. Because I think that Biden is a Pennsylvania candidate. So okay, so we'll put that in for Trump.
And she made critical mistakes. What would you do different than your predecessor? She wouldn't do anything different. I think that sunk her.
Also, Biden being from Delaware, so close to Pennsylvania, and Kamala being, associated with California, I don't think people in Pennsylvania want that, especially the Amish. I don't really think they want anything to do with Hollywood scene. So it's definitely going to go red again, unless there's voter fraud.
Yeah. And it's under a microscope anyway, the fraud, right? They're watching.
Let's see. Let's make sure we got it all taken care of now. I mean, the states that could be, still. So it's 316 to 222 right now. That's how we have it, and that's the way we'll leave it until Monday or possibly over the weekend. If we see a big change, we'll come on. But what I do want to do is remind everybody to make their donation. Take your $11 and pledge it now, once a month. Tunnel the Towers. Tunnel the Towers is doing God's work, and you want to be part of God's work. You don't want to cling to God. You just want to believe in God. Thanks to the generosity of friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation just welcomed U.S. Army Specialist Brett Menard into a new mortgage-free smart home right here in Florida. Brett decided to enlist in the U.S. Army after being motivated by September 11th. And he wanted to be part of doing something about it. And that's something that truly mattered. Fortunately, while on a road clearance mission in Afghanistan, Brett's vehicle was blown apart by an improvised explosive device. In that instant, Brett's life changed forever. The blast left Brett a T4 paraplegic with traumatic brain injury, compartment syndrome in both arms, unable to use his legs, and severe internal injuries. He even needed a total face reconstruction because his bones and teeth were shattered in the explosion. Despite his overwhelming challenges, Brett remained with an unbroken spirit. Because of the support of friends like you, Tunnel to Towers built him a specially adapted smart home that allows catastrophically injured warriors and heroes like him to have the maximum amount of independence, which is what they're entitled to. And it's your obligation to support these men and women who protect us. These are the real heroes. These are the reasons why we're a free country. It isn't based on the wind. It's based on the sacrifices of brave men and women like Brett. America's heroes need your help now more than ever. So you take the $11, it's not much, pledge it every month, Tunnel to Towers, and they'll be able to accomplish the mission of giving homes to every single one of these men and women who need it, of being able to give support to the family of those who die, and to accomplish the new mission they've taken on, which is to end veteran homelessness. Look at what we do. Look what we do for these illegals who come here and murder us and rape us and commit crimes. 60% of the crime in Queens is illegal aliens. And we treat our veterans like, hopefully that's going to change in a Trump administration. Why don't we accelerate that change? And that's what Frank is trying to do with Tunnel to Towers. So you help him. $11 a month, T2T.org. So before we go, I wanted to show everybody something or other. I wish I could find it.
What do you want? Yeah. So want to thank him.
Well, I want to thank everybody that's listening, but I also want to ask everyone who's listening, because it's the weekend and Sunday is the Christian holy day and Saturday is the Jewish holy day. And of course, if you're strictly kosher, can you be listening to me now? I think so. If somebody puts it on for you, you can. I'm pretty sure. But
No.
over the weekend, I will get one of my scholars, one of my Judaic scholars, to answer that question. But I think you can, because I remember in the old days, not that I was old enough for this, but my uncles were. My uncles, I guess, were brought up in a overlapping Christian Jewish neighborhood.
Yeah.
And they would earn money by lighting the stoves and lighting the candles or lighting the electricity for the Jewish families that were celebrating the Sabbath, because they couldn't. They could have the lights on, but they couldn't strike a match. They couldn't. Right. Against the religion for that 24-hour period to do that. So they would pay Christian boys to do it, and they were called goyim something or other.
Yeah.
Goyim servants or Goyim something or other.
Yeah.
And they would make money based on that. So that would say to me that if somebody puts on the TV for you or puts on the cell phone or the iPad or whatever, or computer, you could watch it, but I'm not sure. So we'll find out. But tomorrow is the holy days for Jewish people and Sunday for Christian people, and every day is a holy day for everyone. So pray for the people of Ukraine and pray for the people of Iran. Pray for the people of Israel who are being put through hell. And pray that over this very, very important period of time, when Americans, something like 60 million of them have voted already, with only a 2% difference between Republican and Democrats right now, that they're making a wise choice, because we're in your hands, God. God bless America. We'll see you over the weekend, and we'll definitely see you on Monday at 7.
And get 10 people to vote.
You get 10 people to vote. Okay. God bless you.
Bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze.